First of all, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe, إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله. When the call for the Friday prayer is made, then rush to the remembrance of Allah. That is the Friday prayer. وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ, and leave trade. ذَلِكُمْ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. That will be better for you if only you knew. Allah Almighty singles out trade as being the thing that we should leave when we hear the call to the Friday prayer, and that is because this is what mostly distracts us from salah, our search for our daily bread. And then the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam encourages the Muslim to arrive as early as he can to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to not make it a last minute scramble, may Allah pardon us, to get to the masjid minutes before the khatib ascends the minbar. And that is why Bukhari and Muslim narrate on the authority of Abu Hurairah that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, من اغتسل يوم الجمعة غسل الجنابة ثم راح في الساعة الأولى فكأنما قرب بدنه. Whoever bathes on the day of Friday, the bathing of janaba, and then goes to the masjid in the first hour, it will be as if he has sacrificed a camel for the sake of Allah, the most precious of animals. وَمَنْ رَاحَ فِي السَّاعَةِ الثَّانِيَةِ فَكَأَنَّمَا قَرَّبَ بَقَرَةً. But whoever goes in the second hour for the Friday prayer, it will be as if he has sacrificed a cow. وَمَنْ رَاحَ فِي السَّاعَةِ الثَّالِثَةِ فَكَأَنَّمَا قَرَّبَ كَبْشًا أَقْرًا. And whoever goes to the Friday prayer in the third hour, it will be as if he has sacrificed a horned ram. Look at how the value is depreciating. وَمَنْ رَاحَ فِي السَّاعَةِ الرَّابِعَةِ فَكَأَنَّمَا قَرَّبَ دَجَاجَةً. And whoever goes to the masjid on the fourth hour, it will be as if he has sacrificed a chicken. وَمَنْ رَاحَ فِي السَّاعَةِ الْخَامِسَةِ فَكَأَنَّمَا قَرَّبَ بَيْضَةً. And whoever goes in the fifth hour, it will be as if he has sacrificed a mere egg for Allah. فَإِذَا خَرَجَ الْإِمَامُ حَضَرَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الذِّكْرِ. But when the Imam appears, he begins his sermon, the angels leave their positions and they join with the rest of the Muslims to hear the sermon. So they are at the door taking the names of the people and at what time they have arrived and the reward they deserve. When he begins his khutbah, they turn their scrolls over and they sit with us. Those who come after have missed out on the reward. How do we calculate these 5 sa'at, these 5 hours? They're not the 60-minute slots as we know it. The scholars like Ash-Shafi'i, Ahmad, others have said, you calculate it by looking at the time between after the sun has risen till when the Imam ascends the pulpit and begins his khutbah. So today it was 1:15. You look at the hours, say they were 6 hours for example, you divide them by 5. And each one of those sections constitutes a sa'ah, an hour. Therefore most of us, for the last 30 or 40 years of our lives, we have been coming in the 5th hour, moments before the khutbah begins. And we have not offered Allah more than an egg on a weekly basis. And we know some of our predecessors and some of our elders today who start preparing for the day of Jum'ah from as early as Salatul Fajr and arriving to the masjid and staying at the masjid from Fajr until Jum'ah. Maybe this will be difficult for most of us, but speak to your employer and say to him, I want to make an early start for my Jum'ah, and more often than not they will honor the request. So arriving early. Then you have the element of ightisal, bathing on the day of Jumu'ah. Bukhari and Muslim narrate on the authority of Abu Sa'id that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, غُسْلُ الْجُمُعَةِ وَاجِبٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ. Bathing on the day of Friday is an obligation upon every muhtalim, every adult. What does it mean, an obligation, wajib? Is it an obligation? Is it a sunnah? Leave the fiqh discussion. This hadith is enough as an encouragement for us to engage in a full bathing before we arrive to the masjid on Friday. And in another very famous hadith, which is breathtaking and commonly misunderstood, Abu Dawood narrates on the authority of Aws ibn Aws that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Man ghassala yawm al-jumu'ati waghtasal." Here are the conditions. Whoever bathes another and bathes himself, ثم بكر وابتكر, and leaves early for the Friday Salah and arrives early, ومشى ولم يركب, and walks to the masjid and does not ride, وَدَنَا مِنَ الْإِمَامِ وَاسْتَمَعَ, and draws as close as he can to the Imam and listens, وَلَمْ يَلْغُ, and does not engage in any inappropriate, nonsensical behavior during the Salah. What is the reward? كَانَ لَهُ بِكُلِّ خُطْوَةٍ عَمَلُ سَنَةٍ أَجْرُ صِيَامِهَا وَقِيَامِهَا. He will be given the reward of a year's worth of prayer at night and a year's worth of fasting for every step of the way. La ilaha illallah, karamullahi wasa. Then we have the element of wearing new clothes or some clothes that you have specified for this day of Jum'ah. They don't have to be expensive. And that is why Ibn Majah narrates on the authority of Aisha that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, مَا عَلَى أَحَدِكُمْ إِنْ وَجَدَ سَاعَةً أَنْ يَتَّخِذَ لِجُمْعَتِهِ ثَوْبَيْنِ سِوَى ثَوْبَيْ مِهْنَتِهِ. He said, it would be good, alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, it would be good if one of you has financial ability to buy a special pair of clothes that is dedicated for your Jumu'ah Salah, that is different to your work clothes. And perhaps part of the wisdom in this is that when you wear a specific attire for a specific occasion, you feel a specific way. So this is the element of wearing new clothes. And then when we arrive at the masjid, how would the Sahaba behave? Az-Zuhri, he said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أخذ في خطبته استقبلوه بوجوههم حتى يفرغ منها. When the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام would begin his khutbah, the companions would turn their faces to him and they would not turn away until he had finished his khutbah. Full attention. They wanted to absorb the barakah of this day and to grow. And then he said, alayhi salatu wassalam, when he saw a man, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Busr, jumping over people trying to find a space, separating between two, he said, Ijlis faqad adayt, sit down, you have harmed people. The Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam wants the Muslims to pay attention and does not want anything to interrupt their attention. He said to him, sit down, you have harmed people. And he said, إذا قلت لصاحبك يوم الجمعة والإمام يخطب أنصت فقد لغوت. Bukhari and Muslim. If you say to your brother on the day of Jumu'ah, when the khatib is speaking, you say to him, shush, listen, then you have engaged in laghu, idle behavior, inappropriate talk. He said, "Man massal hasa faqad laga." Whoever plays with the pebbles on the floor has engaged in laghu, idle talk, inappropriate behavior. In a third hadith, he said, "وَمَنْ لَغَى فَلَا جُمْعَةَ لَهُ." Whoever engages in laghu, then there is no jumu'ah for him. So the Muslim does not fidget with his toes, does not pick his nails, does not play with his beard, does not twirl his hair, does not check his phone, does not speak to his neighbor, does not check his socials, does none of that, but gives his entirety to the day of Jumu'ah. Why all of these etiquettes? For one reason: to ensure that when you come to the masjid, you leave as a reformed person. That 20 or 30 minutes you spend in the masjid, it's a cause of growth. This is the intention of the Sharia for us, and hence all of these adab, these mannerisms,